The cone of uncertainty is a useful tool that many rely on when trying to see the forecast path of a hurricane. It gives you the timestamps as well as the categories of the hurricane as it progresses. But after recent events with Hurricane Ian, it's left many wondering if the cone of uncertainty has now become a victim of its own success. I'm going to go over a few of the issues with the cone, starting with the error by design. From 2003, which is the purple cone, to 2021, the red cone, the size of the cone has shrank significantly, actually. And that is because of these circles that are within the cone. These circles are what make the cone, and the reason is the size of each of these circles is set to be 2/3 the historic error over a 5-year sample period. That's a lot of words, but two things to know about that. It's apparent that the forecasts have gotten better because the cone has started to shrink, but 66% of the time, the hurricane is going to be located within this point at that specific time, and 33% of the time, it's going to be located anywhere else. Leading me to my next point, the center line. Social science studies have found that the general public user will become distracted by the center line that's located on the cone of uncertainty graphic, which is probably why now the National Hurricane Center has removed the center line from their graphic, and when you go and you search it up, there'll be just a cone, not the center line. But when you go on any media or news outlets, the center line will be displayed. The cone is meant to show an equidistant chance of receiving the most hazardous conditions a hurricane has to offer. For example, if you are on the outer edge of the cone, still within the cone, but on the very outer edge, you have as equal of a chance of receiving the most hazardous conditions a hurricane has to offer as someone who's smack dab in the middle, where the M is. It's showing equally great chances if you are inside the cone. And that leads me to my final point, and that is the size. The size of the cone should not be confused with the size of the hurricane. Those are vastly different. The cone is meant to show the center path of the hurricane as it moves, not the size. I'll give you another example. Hurricane Ian had a 300-mile diameter and tropical storm force winds. What does that tell us? There are going to be impacts well away from the center. I mean, 40 miles, you're going to see some pretty dangerous and impactful conditions, and it's not just going to be located near the center. I summarize all of these issues and points up by saying the cone of uncertainty is a very powerful tool, very useful in simplifying the forecasted track of a hurricane. But there are definitely some revisions that need to be made to make sure that the media is informing the public properly as well as saving lives.